What if I told you that all the stuff you think means a guy likes you actually means nothing, and the real signs are so tiny you've been missing guys who are totally into you? Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Women are really good at reading people, amazing at picking up feelings, but when it comes to guys and whether they like you, most of you are looking at the completely wrong stuff. And I'm about to show you the 3 things that actually tell you the truth. The ones that show you which guys are just being nice and which ones can't stop thinking about you. See, you've been watching for the big obvious stuff. Does he text you back fast? Does he say nice things? Does he ask you to hang out? And yeah, those things can mean something. But here's what nobody tells you. Guys do all of that stuff for girls they don't even really like. They text girls when they're bored. They say nice things to girls they're not trying to date. They even ask girls out when they're not serious. So if you're only watching for that stuff, you're going to miss what's really going on. The things I'm about to show you are different. They're not stuff a guy plans out or thinks about doing. They're things his body just does when he actually likes someone. Things that happen without him even knowing. And when you know what to look for, you'll never wonder if he likes you again. You'll just know. Before we jump in, hit that like button real quick if you've ever been totally confused about whether a guy actually likes you or not. It helps other girls find this, and trust me, you're going to want to hear what's coming next. So let's be real for a second. Have you ever been talking to a guy and everything feels pretty good, but then you walk away and you're not really sure? Like maybe he was just being friendly, maybe he's like that with everyone. You start replaying everything he said in your head, looking for signs, trying to figure out if there was something real there or if you made it all up. And the more you think about it, the more confused you get. Here's why that happens. You're trying to read his mind. You're trying to figure out his feelings, guess how interested he is, work out what he's thinking. But you can't do that. Nobody can read someone's mind. What you can see is what his body does. And that's where these 3 things come in. They're not about his feelings. They're about what he actually does. And what he does shows you everything. Most girls have no clue that guys show interest in a totally different way than women do. When a woman likes someone, she usually talks more, asks questions, makes it pretty clear. But guys show it through their body, through where they are, how they move, what they do without thinking about it. And if you don't know what to watch for, you'll completely miss a guy who's really into you. Think about it. Maybe you've hung out with a guy and he seemed interested. He laughed at stuff you said, seemed like he was paying attention. Everything felt okay. But then later you're sitting there going, wait, does he actually like me or was he just being nice? You go through the whole thing again in your head looking for proof and you end up thinking, am I just making this up in my head? But the real answer is pretty simple. You probably weren't making it up. What actually happened is he was showing you through his body, not his words. And because most girls don't know what to look for, they miss the most obvious sign that's right there in front of them. Knowing these 3 things isn't just helpful, it changes everything. It lets you see what's really going on, not what you hope is going on or what you're scared might be going on. You stop guessing, you stop reading into every single text. You just see the truth in what he does. Girls who get this stuff have a huge advantage. They don't sit around wondering if a guy likes them. They just know. They don't feel confused and stressed out. They feel sure and calm. And instead of wasting time on guys who aren't that interested, they can tell right away who's worth their time and who's not. Once you learn what actually shows a guy's interest, you'll never look at this stuff the same way. The power to see what's real starts right here. And in just a minute, we're going to talk about what most girls look for when they're trying to figure out if a guy likes them and why that stuff doesn't actually tell you anything. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Let's talk about what most girls pay attention to when they're trying to work out if a guy is into them. And more importantly, why all of that stuff is pretty much useless. First, there's texting. Girls look at every message like it's a puzzle. How fast did he reply? Did he use any emojis? How long was his message? Did he ask something or just answer? And yeah, texting can show some interest, but here's the problem. Guys text for a million reasons. Some guys just like texting, some text when they're bored, some are terrible at texting even when they really like you. Texting doesn't really tell you much about real feelings. Then there's how much he reaches out. Girls count the calls, the messages, how many times he tries to hang out. They think if he really liked me, he'd hit me up more. But again, this doesn't work. Some guys are busy. Some try to play it cool on purpose. Some just aren't big on calling or texting all the time. How much he contacts you doesn't always match how interested he is. Next up is what he says. Girls listen for compliments, for hints, for any clue that he's into them. But here's the deal. Words are the easiest thing to fake. A guy can say all the right stuff and mean zero of it, or he can be awful with words but feel everything inside. What comes out of his mouth is usually the least honest sign. Then there's eye contact. Girls think, if he looks at me a lot, he must like me. And sure, eye contact can mean something, but it can also just mean he's a confident person, or that he's a good listener, or that he looks at everyone like that. By itself, it doesn't really tell you much. Here's what you need to get. Most girls are watching surface stuff, things that seem obvious but don't actually show anything real. They're counting texts, listening to compliments, and waiting for super clear signs. But guys don't work that way. When a guy is really into you, he doesn't announce it with words. He shows it through his body, through where he puts himself, through 3 specific things that just happen automatically when his interest is real. And this is where most girls get totally lost. They're so busy watching the obvious stuff that they miss what's actually happening right in front of them. They miss the 3 things that never lie, the 3 physical things that show you the difference between friendly and interested, polite and attracted, casual and serious. The secret to reading a guy's interest is to stop listening to what he says and start watching what his body does. Because his body always tells you the truth, even when his words don't. And here's the thing, even if you've been picking up on some stuff, even if things feel good, there are 3 things that make everything crystal clear. 3 physical signs that get rid of all the doubt. These are the things most girls never notice. And in just a second, I'm going to show you exactly what they are. But first, you need to understand why these 3 things matter so much. Why they're not just random body language tips, but the clearest window into how he really feels. This is where everything changes. This is where guessing stops and knowing starts. So what are these 3 things? What are the 3 physical signs a guy gives when he's really into you? Here's the first one. When a guy is genuinely interested in you, he finds reasons to be near you. Not just standing close during a conversation. I'm talking about him showing up where you are. Walking over to where you're standing, moving to sit next to you instead of across from you, finding little reasons to be in your space. Let me break down why this matters so much. When people are around someone they don't care about, they keep their distance. They might talk to you, but they don't go out of their way to be close. They stay where they are. It's polite, it's friendly, but it's not deep interest. But when a guy is really into you, something different happens. He starts moving into your space without even thinking about it. If you're at a party and you move to a different room, he ends up in that room. If you're standing by the kitchen, he comes to the kitchen. If there's an empty seat next to you, he takes it. He's not being creepy about it. It just happens naturally because his body wants to be where you are. This isn't something he plans. It's not a strategy he read somewhere. It's automatic. When a guy's interest is real, his body naturally wants to be as close to you as possible. And the way that shows up is through him always ending up near you. Think about it like this. Your body goes where your attention is. If you kind of care about something, you might look at it from far away, but if you're really interested, you move closer. The same thing happens with attraction. When a guy is just being nice, he'll talk to you from wherever he is. He'll chat, be friendly, but he doesn't change where he's standing. He's comfortable with distance. But when he's into you, really into you, that distance bothers him. So he closes it without even realizing he's doing it. Here's the crazy part. This sign is so reliable that you can use it to tell the difference between a guy who's friendly and a guy who wants more, between someone being polite and someone who's attracted, between casual conversation and real interest. And once you start watching for it, you'll see it everywhere. But here's where a lot of girls mess up. They notice he's always around and think, okay, so he likes being near me, that's nice. They don't realize what they're actually seeing. They don't get that this constant closeness is his body showing interest before his words ever do. The biggest thing to understand here is this. A guy's body doesn't lie. He can control what he says. He can play it cool with his texts. He can even control his face. But his body, His body shows what's really going on inside. And when he keeps finding ways to be near you, you're seeing his real feelings. No filter, no games, no confusion. Now let's talk about the second signal, and this one is huge. When a guy is really into you, he remembers small stuff you said, not big obvious things, small random details that most people would forget. Here's what I mean. You mention in passing that you love a certain candy. A week later, he brings it up or shows up with it. You tell him about a movie you want to see. Next time you talk, he asks if you've seen it yet. You say something about your favorite coffee order. He remembers it perfectly. Most girls think this is just him being a good listener. And sure, that's part of it, but here's what's really happening. When a guy is interested in you, his brain holds on to details about you that it would normally forget. It's not a choice, it's automatic. His mind is paying closer attention to everything you say because you matter to him. Compare that to someone who's not that interested. They might listen when you talk, they might nod and seem engaged. But 5 minutes later, they've forgotten what you said. It went in one ear and out the other because their brain didn't mark it as important. But when a guy likes you, really likes you, his brain works differently around you. Every little thing you say gets stored, not because he's trying to impress you by remembering, but because his mind naturally holds on to information about people he cares about. Here's why this matters. Remembering stuff takes mental energy. Your brain has to decide what's worth keeping and what to throw away. And when a guy's brain decides that random details about you are worth keeping, that tells you something real. It tells you that you're important to him, that he's paying attention in a deeper way than he does with most people. And here's the key part. This isn't about him remembering the big stuff. Of course, he'll remember if you tell him about your job or your family. That's basic conversation. The signal is in the small stuff, the throwaway comments, the little details, because those are the things that only stick if someone really cares. Watch for this. When a guy brings up something tiny you mentioned days or weeks ago, something you barely remember saying, that's not an accident. That's his brain showing you that everything about you matters to him. And that's one of the clearest signs that his interest is real. Now here's the third signal. And honestly, this is the one that most girls completely miss. When a guy is into you, he checks in on you. Not in a hey, what's up way, in a how did that thing go way. Let me explain what I mean. You tell him you have a big meeting at work. A couple days later, he asks how it went. You mention you're dealing with something stressful. He follows up to see if you're okay. You say you're trying something new. He asks about it the next time you talk. This is different from just staying in touch. This is him tracking what's happening in your life and caring about the outcome. Most people don't do this. Most people might ask you how you are in general, but they don't remember specific things you're going through and check back on them. But when a guy is interested in you, he starts keeping mental tabs on your life. Not in a weird way, in a caring way. He wants to know how things turned out. He wants to know if you're okay. He remembers what you said was important to you and he follows up on it. Here's why this matters so much. Checking in takes effort. It means he has to remember what you told him. He has to care enough to bring it up again. He has to actually want to know how things went for you. And guys don't do that unless they're genuinely interested. Think about all the people you talk to. How many of them actually follow up on specific things you mentioned? Probably not many, because most people are focused on their own lives. They're not tracking what's happening in yours. But when someone likes you, your life becomes interesting to them. Your problems become things they care about. Your wins become things they celebrate. So when a guy checks in, when he remembers to ask about that thing you mentioned, when he follows up to see if you're okay, he's showing you something real. He's showing you that you're on his mind, that he's thinking about you even when you're not around, that what happens to you matters to him. And here's the beautiful part. This signal is almost impossible to fake. You can't pretend to remember details and follow up consistently unless you actually care. It takes too much mental energy. So when you see it, you know it's real. Now here's what all three of these signals add up to. When a guy is genuinely interested in you, his whole life starts to include you. He's physically near you. He remembers everything about you. He stays connected to what's going on with you. It's not just one thing, it's a pattern that shows up when someone is falling for you. But there's something important you need to understand. These three signals don't happen with everyone. A guy might be friendly with lots of people. He might be nice, fun, social. But this level of attention, he only gives that to someone he's really into. That's why these signals are so powerful. They're not things he does casually. They're not things he can fake for long. When you see them, you're seeing something real, something that shows his interest is genuine. Now, before we keep going, we need to talk about the mistakes girls make when they see these signals. Because knowing what to look for is one thing, but knowing how to handle it is just as important. And this is where a lot of girls accidentally push guys away, even when the guy is showing clear interest. Let's talk about the mistakes girls make when they see these signals, because honestly, spotting his interest is only half of it. How you handle it makes all the difference. The first mistake is reading too much into it. You see him show up near you, remember what you said, check in on you, and instead of just enjoying it, you start overthinking everything. Does this mean he wants a relationship? Should I act differently? What do I do now? You turn it into this huge thing in your head. And while you're overthinking, you miss the moment. You miss the connection. Here's the truth. When you see these signals, just trust them. Don't talk yourself out of what you're seeing. His body is telling you something real. Accept it. The second mistake is acting too interested too fast. You see the signals, you get excited, and suddenly you're all in. You start texting him way more, showing up more, making it super obvious you like him. And there's nothing wrong with showing interest, but coming on too strong too fast can actually make him pull back, even if he likes you. The third mistake is testing him. Some girls see the signals and then start playing games. They pull back to see if he'll chase harder. They act uninterested to see if he'll try more. They test his interest instead of just letting things happen naturally. And here's the problem. When you test him, you create confusion. He was showing you real interest. And instead of matching that in a normal way, you throw up walls. That doesn't make him more attracted. It makes him frustrated. Another mistake is forgetting about your own feelings. You see all the signs that he's into you, but instead of thinking about how you feel about him, you just get caught up in the fact that he likes you. You forget to ask yourself, do I actually like him back? Or am I just excited that someone's interested? Don't let his interest be the only thing that matters. Your feelings count too. The fifth mistake is waiting for him to do everything. You see the signals, you know he's interested, and then you just wait. You wait for him to ask you out. You wait for him to say something. You wait for him to make every move. But here's the thing. When you see clear interest, it's okay to meet him halfway. You don't have to play hard to get. You can show that you're open too. And one of the biggest mistakes is getting it wrong completely. Sometimes girls see a guy be nice, show up places, remember stuff, and they think it's romantic interest when really he's just a good friend. He does this with lots of people because that's who he is. So here's how you tell the difference. Does he do this with other people, or is this specific to you? Watch how he acts with others. If his behavior is the same with everyone, it might just be his personality. But if this level of attention is just for you, that's when you know it's real. The truth is, most guys don't pull away because they stop being interested. They pull back because something in how you reacted made them feel like it wasn't working. Maybe you overthought it. Maybe you tested him. Maybe you didn't show any interest back. The answer isn't to chase harder. It's to stay balanced, stay open, stay warm, but also stay grounded in who you are. When a guy sees that you notice his interest, but you're not desperate for it, that you appreciate it, but you're not dependent on it, something powerful happens. He feels safe. He feels like he can show how he feels without it becoming too much too fast. And that safety is what makes him want to keep showing up. If you avoid these mistakes, you create space for things to grow naturally, where he feels comfortable showing interest and you feel comfortable receiving it. No games, no confusion, no pressure, just two people figuring out if there's something real between them. By now, you understand the three signals, what they mean, and what not to do when you see them. But here's the deeper part. How do you keep his interest once it's there? Because getting his attention is one thing. Keeping it is what really matters. The first thing to know is this. Guys don't stay interested because you're perfect. They stay interested because being around you feels good. That means being someone who's easy to be around, who doesn't create drama over every little thing, who makes him feel comfortable being himself. The second key is keeping your own life. One of the biggest mistakes girls make when a guy shows interest is dropping everything else. They cancel plans with friends, stop doing their hobbies, and make him the center of everything. But here's what happens when you do that. You become less interesting. He was attracted to the person who had her own stuff going on. When you drop all of that to focus only on him, you change what made you attractive in the first place. Third, understand the power of space. When things are going well, it's natural to want to spend more and more time together, but too much too soon can kill attraction. Guys need space to miss you. They need time to think about you when you're not there. If you're always available, always around, always reaching out, he doesn't get that chance. Give him room to come toward you. Another important thing is staying calm when things get weird, being able to not freak out when he's quiet or distant for a bit. Sometimes he'll be stressed, busy, or just need space, and it has nothing to do with you. If you can give him room without making it a big deal, without taking it personally, without creating drama, you build trust. And that trust is what makes him feel safe enough to let you in more. Finally, focus on building real experiences together. Attraction fades if it's only based on surface stuff. What keeps things alive is making memories, laughing together, trying new things, supporting each other's goals. Whether it's checking out a new place, cooking together, or just having real talks late at night, these moments turn attraction into something deeper. Here's the truth. Keeping a guy interested isn't about being perfect, playing games, or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about creating a space where he feels valued, understood, and free. When a guy feels that with you, he doesn't just stay interested. He becomes more interested over time. And that's the real difference between something that fizzles out and something that actually lasts. Attraction doesn't grow under pressure, games, or constant worry. It grows when there's freedom, respect, and real connection. If you're still here, you already know what to look for. You know the 3 signals, you know what they mean, and you know how to respond in a way that builds connection instead of pushing him away. That's how you turn interest into something real and lasting. Stop for a second, because what we've covered isn't just dating advice or body language tips. It's about understanding the clearest signs a guy gives before he ever says how he feels. Once you know these 3 signals, everything changes. You stop doubting yourself. You stop reading into every conversation, and you finally see attraction with clarity and confidence. Think about it. Before this, you might have been stuck in the same cycles so many girls go through. Confusion, doubt, and wondering if you're just making stuff up in your head. You meet a guy, things seem okay, and then you're left guessing whether he actually likes you or if he's just being nice. But now you know, it's not about his words or his texts, it's about what his body does. And when he keeps showing up near you, remembers everything you say, and checks in on your life, you're seeing the truth. Here's the beautiful part. Once you understand this, you don't have to guess anymore. You don't have to read into every text or wait for him to make his feelings obvious. You just watch what he does. You see him move close, remember details, follow up on stuff, and you know. And that knowledge is powerful. It's what changes dating from constant confusion into something clear. But there's one important thing you need to remember. None of this matters if you forget your own value. A guy doesn't fall for you because you read his signals perfectly. He falls for you because you're confident, real...